Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Vroom Ambassador application webinar. My name is Patience Hill, and I am the Community Outreach Project Manager for the Vroom Ambassador program here at Child Care Wherever America. And we also have Candy Novak with us, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Candy Novak, and I'm the Technical Assistance Specialist at Child Care Wherever America with the Vroom partnership.
Thank you, Candy. And we also have a current Vroom ambassador with us, and I'll let her introduce herself.
This is Heather from Montana. I'm subbing in for Deb, who is in the air right now traveling.
Thank you, Heather. And Heather is from Family Connections in Montana. So we are very glad you all decided to join us today, and we will dive into all this information about our wonderful application to become a Vroom ambassador here at CCAOA. And as we go through this presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to jot them down and add them to the chat, and we will answer them at the end of this presentation. So the CCAOA Vroom partnership started in 2015, and the partnership assists Child Care Wherever America CCR&R members as you all adopt and adapt the current brain science research and resources into your family and community engagement services, as well as your service to providers. So as you outreach to parents and families and educators, we support you with resources through the Vroom partnership. So some of you may be wondering, what is Vroom? So the Vroom initiative is inspired by extraordinary brain science and insights into how children learn. So it's all science-based, and Vroom translates the groundbreaking science into practical language and pairs it with accessible, actionable tips that encourage back and forth interaction between families and children. So Vroom turns everyday shared moments into brain-building moments. So if you aren't familiar with Vroom, here's an example of a Vroom tip that is science-based. It is something that you probably already do with children or other adults are already doing with children. And this one is called Changing Conversation. When you're changing your child, make a funny sound. How does he or she respond? By smiling, kicking his or her legs, making a sound. Try a new sound and see what he or she does. Keep adding ones to the mix. So this is, again, an engagement that adults are doing with children, but with Vroom, Vroom has the science to back it up. So here is an example of a Vroom tip card, and it has the age at the bottom left corner, ages 0 to 1. And at the bottom here, you'll see look, follow, chat, take turns, and stretch. And these are called the brain building basics. So this is what backs up all of these tips that Vroom has. It's the science. So as you can see now on the right side is the brainy background. So this is powered by Mind in the Making. Again, this is all research-based. So it gives you an activity to do with the child but also tells you how you're helping to build your child's brain. So it says back and forth conversations can happen even without words. You are teaching your child about how conversations work. First one person speaks, then the other. This is an early and important lesson about the pleasure and skill of communicating, a skill that's important in school and in life. So again, there are hundreds and actually thousands of these Vroom tips, but this is really what Vroom is about, those positive engagements between an adult and a child. And again, it's very simple, it's common, stuff we're already doing with children, it's a part of their everyday routine, and you don't have to purchase anything. All of these tips are free, and we'll talk more about that later. So here you see a phone app. So Vroom is a digital resource as well. You can access over 1,000 tips on the phone app via a smartphone or a tablet. And again, it'll give you the activity to do with the brain background on how you're helping to build the child's brain. So you would just need to add in a child, you would add in a birth date, and then the tips will be age appropriate based on the age of the child. And the app is in English and Spanish right now. And there's also a texting version if you don't have a smartphone. And the app can also be accessed on Alexa as a skill. So you can add in a child's name, add in an age, and ask Alexa to give you a tip at that moment for your child. You can also access these tips via the web browser at vroom.org. And actually, one of our first Vroom ambassadors in our pilot project was in Florida. They were actually a pilot for the texting side of the Vroom tips. So we had the smartphone app come out first, and then the texting was available later. And then here you'll see some products that Vroom has partnered with. We have the Johnson & Johnson's baby lotion and shampoo. Again, Vroom meets parents where they are, so there is a Vroom tip and activity to do with the child while you are washing them or shampooing their hair. Then there's also Goya. So we know families have dinner time. They can access a tip on their food products. And again, this is meeting parents where they are in their everyday moments. And what's really fun about Vroom is there are a lot of videos on YouTube. And these videos are very short, but they show tips in action, talk about the science. And so these are great to add to your programs, and they're free. So some Vroom ambassadors have added these videos to their waiting areas or with some of their trusted messenger partners in their waiting areas, such as a hospital and like the doctor's office. So these videos are very powerful. You can add them to your trainings with educators. But again, this is another free resource that Vroom offers. And so all of the resources are available in English and Spanish, but there's also some more resources available in Russian, Vietnamese, Arabic, and Chinese right now, and they are working on several other languages. So if you would like to access some of the tips in these other languages, you would just go to vroom.org and go under their tools and resources, go to the tip section in ages 0 through 5, and you'll be able to access some more of these tips in different languages. Now, Candy's going to talk a little bit more about our CCAOA Vroom initiative and the priorities that we have.
Thank you, Patience. So some of the priorities for Child Care Aware of America's Vroom initiative is building awareness of Vroom as a tool for supporting family and community engagement in CCR&Rs. Also building awareness of Vroom as a tool for parents and families is another priority. And we really encourage and work toward infusing Vroom into child care resource and referral across the nation. So with us looking forward toward our third cohort of Vroom ambassadors, we've really expanded in infusing Vroom across the nation into different states. And also enhancing professional development is another priority. So we've been working on integrating Vroom to enhance professional development offered through child care resource and referral agencies. Some other priorities are to bring the science to families, to share the latest research on brain development birth through age 5. So taking the science out of the labs and bringing it to families. And also utilizing Vroom tools, the resources and website, and making it available and embedding it in current programs. So once again, integrating Vroom into what child care resource and referral programs do, as well as our early childhood programs. And another priority is to engage with the national network of Vroom strategic partners. So on a national level, there are other key partners that are working with Vroom to share the science behind Vroom, as well as the tools and resources with families. So we are also engaging within that national network. So who is eligible for Child Care Aware of America's Vroom initiative? So child care resource and referral agencies that are a member of CCAOA, and those would include voluntary state networks, coordinating state networks, managing state networks, single statewide networks, and local CCR&Rs. And if you have any questions about that, we would be happy to talk with you about that. At the end, we can also give you our email address if you have any questions about either becoming a member of CCAOA or your membership status, or any questions about the type of agencies. Next slide, please. And now Patience is going to share with you about cohort 1.
Thank you, Sandy. So our first pilot started in 2015 and it ran through 2017, and we had 10 Vroom ambassador pilot sites. So we had Alabama, Arkansas, California, Florida, Montana, New Hampshire, and then we had 2 sites in New York and 2 sites in Ohio. And these are just some visuals from our first pilot site with our Vroom ambassadors. So this first image is a Vroom training from Tallahassee, Florida, and this is with the Office of Early Learning. The next is an example of a Vroom bulletin board from Child Care Council in Rochester, New York. And all of these resources on this board can be downloaded for free on vroom.org. And the next one is a community event that was hosted by Child Care Resource Center in California, and they brought the Cup Tower brain building tip to life for families to participate in at their event. So they have a tip at the table, and then they actually have the tools where the adult and the child can engage in the tip. And then here is a Vroom table display from Child Care Resources in Alabama. And again, they're just displaying the free Vroom resources there. And here's a fun interactive Vroom tip display board at a community event also from Alabama. And so what they did was they put the tip on the board and had the parents engage with it by making it interactive. So there's so many ways you can incorporate Vroom into your programs. And what's important to remember is it's not an extra thing to do, but you really want to embed it into what you're already doing. So if you're already doing trainings, you're already doing outreach events, you just add Vroom to that. And here's some feedback from our first Vroom pilot. So this first quote is from a Vroom ambassador in our pilot, and it says, when our agency introduced Vroom to our community partners, they immediately saw how easily Vroom fit into the scope of work in our community. And what's great about this is Vroom helps build partnerships in your community, and it's even better because you can use that for your sustainability to continue Vroom even past a partnership with CCAOA and Vroom. Here's another quote. In many ways, the simplicity of Vroom is part of its appeal, and confident parents are better parents. Again, Vroom is not judgmental. Vroom doesn't tell parents how to be a better parent, tell educators how to be a better educator, but rather it validates those positive interactions that they already have with their children. So this quote was from New York. And we have some more feedback. And this is more about the sustainability of Vroom. So it says, embed Vroom into your core services so that it lives with what you do as a CCR&R. It can be sustained beyond any ambassadorship, and in essence, it's helping facilitate social change on the important role that families play in their children's lives and how each moment is a brain-building opportunity. And this is definitely a powerful statement, and it just shows the value that Vroom brings to any community, to any CCR&R, and how you're able to build off of those relationships through Vroom. And we have another one. We integrated Vroom into our primary grant requirements as a resource supporting our mission and purpose, utilizing social media and distributing at meetings, conferences, and events assure the resources spread statewide. Again, they are integrating Vroom into what they're already doing in their outreach services. And Candy will talk more about what our current ambassadors are doing.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about our current ambassadors. And we have Child Care Aware of Northwest Arkansas. And we have two from Indiana. The first one's Early Childhood Alliance and Right Steps Child Development Centers, which is also a part of Child Care Resource Network in Indiana. Child Care Aware of Kansas. Then Family Connections in Montana. The Children's Cabinet of Nevada. Child Care Resource Network in New York. We also have another New York, Chemung County Child Care Council, and Child Care Resource Center of North Carolina, and Child Care Aware of North Dakota. So these are ambassadors that are with us currently as a part of the partnership at Child Care Aware of America. And here are some photos from some of the outreach that's happened recently. So this photo we see is a part of Early Childhood Alliance, an outreach event that they had done. And as you can see, they have information about their child care resource and referral, but they have integrated Vroom into the table that they have at this event. So they have some tips and information about Vroom, as well as you can see the cup tower, which is a very popular thing among children. So it's a great activity to take to events because it's very interactive, and children or families can see how engaged their children are during this activity. And then also here is another way that child care resource and referral agencies have been able to easily integrate Vroom into their outreach, which is through their social media. We have developed a family engagement virtual toolkit, which is full of digital resources where child care resource and referral agencies, they can, as well as their early childhood programs, can grab a social media tile and share it out on their social media platforms. This is an example from Child Care Aware of North Dakota, where they have shared a tip that's a YouTube video. So this is a great way to integrate Vroom as well into outreach to families. And in case you would like to explore our virtual toolkit, you can also find that on our Child Care Aware of America website. It's part of our social press kit. So feel free to visit that so that you can access the resources as well. So here's some feedback that we have received from our second cohort of ambassador sites. And we're going to introduce again Heather at this point. She's from Family Connections in Montana, and she's going to share some feedback with you about their experience in participating in the Vroom initiative.
Thank you. This is a picture of my daughter and I, and we were at a community powwow. It's one of the community gatherings that was specific to honor the children of the Great Falls, Montana community. And so there were many services available there, both to Indigenous people and to children at large. And so we were part of that. This was the exhibitor side, so there was also people selling things, vendors and whatnot. And then the other side was in the gymnasium, was actually where the powwow was happening. So people just flowed back and forth. One of the beautiful things that we love about the Vroom platform is that people will have a smartphone before they will have any other priority. They may not have transportation, they might not even have clean drinking water, but they will have a smartphone. And so we find that it is one of the most available platforms to help parents do their best work with their kids. Here we was just part of the, again, we love the cup activity. We find that even when we train adults, so as Candy was saying, you want to embed it in your existing programming. So when you're already training child care providers, or you're already training your staff in-house at your CCR&Rs, this cup activity is absolutely captivating. Everybody wants to do well at it, and everyone has a lot of fun at it. So it is the perfect go-to, and at the end it stacks up and fits in your satchel very easily.
Thank you, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and here's some other feedback that we've received from the second cohort of ambassador sites. We have found that any role in our CCR and our agency has been able to utilize Vroom in helping to educate in the importance of brain science, and has been an overall resource to help us build and maintain relationships. So I think this statement aligns with a lot of what we've been talking about, that, you know, Vroom just easily integrates into what CCR and our agencies are already doing. So it's not something in addition to necessarily, it just kind of easily integrates and folds into the outreach and services that's already happening. And we have heard from many that it really does help build those relationships. Another CCR&R said it is a conversation starter with families to share about Vroom and then discuss our CCR&R services. So that's actually from Early Childhood Alliance in Indiana, that they have found this to really be an inroad to building relationships, as they have stated to me, as well as just a conversation starter to open up into other conversations. And this comes from Family Connections, which we just heard from Heather. But they have said that Vroom has also helped them to enhance the family engagement activities of their quality rating system programs. So once again, Vroom has been able to be integrated in many different ways into CCR&R, and those that are participating in a quality rating system in their state, Vroom can really enhance and support those family engagement efforts in those states. And then also from Indiana, I love this quote. It says, Vroom is relevant for any parent. So that was kind of an aha moment that this CCR&R had as they started learning more about Vroom and sharing Vroom with families and their early childhood educators in their community, that they discovered Vroom is really relevant for any parent. Doesn't matter who they are, where they live, it is relevant for them all. And just these quotes come from Northwest Arkansas, and Vroom has helped us connect with child care providers in ways that we have never done before. We have provided them with valuable information on brain development that they can use to educate their families. I think this just speaks volumes about Vroom, that they have found that this is a way to build connections with their child care community in a way that they never have before. And here's a little story that they shared with us. We used the activity cards with a family during a home visit. They left the cards behind with the family for a week and then followed up with them on the next visit. And the parent talked about how, because of these what we call the Vroom app cards, which are available on the Vroom website, that this parent is now more conscious of their interactions with their baby while using the cards. And they have found those cards to be helpful in providing new ideas. They said it made playtime more intentional and gave some new ways to interact. So even if it's something that a family, maybe it's something that they were playing peekaboo with their baby before, but then they read the tip about playing peekaboo and the brainy background behind it, it helps them to become more conscious of their interactions and to become more intentional. So we've heard that from various families.
Thank you, Candy. So now we're going to talk more about the current timeline for our application process and what's ahead. So here you will see our timeline for right now. So our application was released last week, and we have our webinar, and we are recording the webinar, and we will post it on our website for you to view later. Also, our application deadline is coming up August 9th. So if you have any questions in between now and then, please feel free to email us at vroom@usa.childcareaware.org, and we will have that email up at the end of this presentation. So there will be a one-week review by our panel here at CCAOA from various staff members. And then the following week, we will notify everyone who has been selected. And the project begins September 1. And what we're really excited about is our Vroom Ambassador convening, which is October 16th through 17th. It will be held in Arlington, Virginia, and all of your expenses will be paid if you are able to attend, if you are selected. So not only will we have Vroom ambassadors, but we will also have our Vroom mentors, which we'll talk about a little later. And this project will run from September 1st to May 31st. And so within those first few months, we will have a press release come out announcing all of the new Vroom ambassadors with CCAOA. We will have launch kits mailed out with sample Vroom material if you would like to purchase some of their printed materials. But again, they have most of their materials online. You can download for free on vroom.org under their tools and resources. We will also provide you with a brain building launch kit for educators. So we'll give you a few of those, and you will select some up to 5 educators that you would like to send those to and follow up with. And then we will also have a virtual toolkit like Candy mentioned earlier. This will be a family engagement virtual toolkit, and again, it will have brain-building resources such as social media posts, fun holidays, Vroom videos, flyers to post around. So there'll be different kits available, but that virtual kit you could send to all of the educators in your service areas. And then we also have an annual Vroom Week celebration, which will be held November 26th through the 30th. And during this Vroom Week, we have different themes every year, but we use this time to really have a focused celebration on the brain science at our CCAOA level and as well as on your CCR&R levels. So you'll hear more about that. And now I'm going to talk a little bit more about our application requirements. Hopefully you all have seen the application. And again, you can email us at the end of this presentation if you were not able to find it on our website. So the application is an online application, so you must submit it that way. As far as what's required, we need the contact information for your Vroom project lead. So this will be the person who we will be in contact with in regards to everything Vroom related. So this might not be the head of your agency, but this might be the person who is responsible for Vroom at your agency. We need to know that you are in contact with child care program providers and you're able to follow up with those providers. Also, you need to provide a description on how Vroom can enrich your family and community engagement outreach services. Again, all this is on the application. And also, we want to know how you plan on using Vroom with special populations. On the application, we have listed low income, experiencing homelessness, special needs, refugee status, limited English, also military parents, and teen parents. And then we also have a section for other in case there is another special population that your agency focuses on. We would also like to know what opportunities there are for outreach services for parents and families and providers. Also your current community partners, because the community partners really help with the sustainability of Vroom. Also, your Vroom project lead being able to commit to the monthly TA calls and our quarterly reports. And there is a section for requested documents, and I believe it's your tax exempt status, your insurance. So those items can be uploaded through the application. But again, if for some reason it won't upload, you can email that to us at vroom@usa.childcareware.org. But you would still submit your application through the online form, but you would just email us those attachments. And we also recommend you downloading the PDF of the application before completing it, just because it won't let you advance to every section without filling it out. So if you want to see the whole application at once, we do have a link where you can download the PDF version of it. So our selection criteria, we'll be going over the quality of the application, the completeness, the quality of the outreach services, and how you can embed Vroom in those services, a demonstrated relationship with early care and education community, demonstrated relationships with parents and families, and demonstrated relationships with the special populations that I just mentioned. So all of this will be reviewed by a panel of CCAOA staff, and it will be reviewed within a week of the final deadline for you to turn in your application. We'll also be looking at if you're active on social media, if you use that for outreach, if your agency will be able to easily embed these Vroom outreach resources into your existing services, the likelihood of local networking relationships to support the project and sustainability, and this is definitely where your partnerships and trusted messengers come in, and also the likelihood that the project would create sustained change and the extent to which the work is systematic. And now we'll talk about the expectations of Vroom ambassadors.
Thank you, Patience. So some of the expectations of becoming a Vroom ambassador, one is that your agency would appoint someone that's going to be a lead for the Vroom project initiative. And it typically is one person that would be our point of contact. However, we do know that there potentially, and we actually encourage if there are maybe a team of staff members that are kind of on the front lines to plan and share the Vroom outreach in your communities, but appointing someone as the project lead for us to be in contact with would be an expectation of becoming a Vroom ambassador site. Also developing an action plan, and we would have a template available for that. And basically it's just demonstrating goals and strategies and timelines of reaching those goals with us. And once again, we would share that template with you. Also, there are monthly technical assistance exchange calls that we schedule. Right now, they're once a month on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that seems to work well for the current set of ambassadors. So that would be an expectation that someone from your agency would participate in those calls. We also have quarterly reports that would be due, so there would be 3 reports during the project time frame. And we also have one-on-one TA calls as well between myself, the technical assistant specialist, and someone from your agency. Typically, once again, it's the Vroom project lead. And then there's monthly mentor calls, and that would be arranged between the ambassador and the Vroom mentor when that would happen. And it's just for the mentor and the ambassador to work together and support the ambassador in planning and the outreach that they're providing in their communities. And also an expectation is collecting what we call our Vroom aha moments and stories. Aha moments are things that when you're maybe at an outreach event or you're on a call with a family searching for childcare and you're sharing about, you know, maybe some brain science or a Vroom resource, and that person has a sudden realization or an aha moment about how this may impact how they care for their child or interact with their child. So collecting those aha moments, those stories, and sharing them back with Child Care Aware of America is an expectation as well. So, and we do provide a template to help you collect those stories and share them back with us. But once again, it's just short, you know, brief anecdotes, maybe a sentence that you receive from a parent or a community partner, a child care program staff member, but just sharing how Vroom has empowered them in some way. And here's an example of an aha moment from a parent. It says, we were playing outside one day and I opened Vroom for an activity idea, and the make a face tip came up, and we had a blast making many different faces and talking about if they were happy or sad. So this is an aha moment from a parent in Ohio that was shared with us. And this is also a great way to share out on social media or during presentations that you may have either with families or with, you know, child care program staff. So some of the Vroom technical assistance, I'll speak about that in more detail. So at Child Care Aware of America, we actually have our Vroom headquarters team, which consists of myself and patients. And we also have another person on staff that helps us with our data collection and reporting that is on our team as well. And I, myself, Candy, I am the technical assistance specialist, so I would be the point of contact for the Vroom ambassadors. And I mentioned the monthly technical assistance exchange calls, and that is led by me. And, you know, I develop the agenda and the topics of what we would be talking about during the month, but we definitely take into consideration any questions that the ambassadors may have or topics that they're interested in, and we add those to the agenda. And then also the Vroom Mentor Program is part of the technical assistance that the ambassadors receive. So, and it could be past Vroom ambassadors from the first cohort as well as the second cohort. So there will be some Vroom mentors to provide support to the ambassadors. Then we also have something called Basecamp, and this is an online learning community for the ambassadors to participate in. We upload resources for you that would be helpful. We post resources, and also the ambassadors are able to post stories, aha moments, maybe resources that they've shared in their community that they want to share with their fellow ambassadors. So it's just a great place to ask questions, to share maybe something that worked really well in their outreach, share ideas. And so we have found Basecamp to be a great place for us all to come together. And then also the Train the Trainer webinars for educators. We are coming up with some webinars that will be available to the various cohorts of Vroom ambassadors that you can then share with your early childhood community. Oops, I noticed I skipped over two things. Available resources and services is also something. We have co-branded resources that we've created that will, and that we will continue to create, that we will share out with ambassadors. And once again, those resources will be made available on Basecamp. And then another example of a resource that we've developed is a resource guide for child care resource and referral agencies. And this resource guide kind of helps step by step in supporting and kind of planning that outreach, and also shares stories and examples from past ambassadors to help inspire your strategies for sharing Vroom in your communities and integrating Vroom into your CCR&Rs. And then the Child Care Aware of America Vroom Ambassador convening that patients had mentioned is something that would be in October. And this is just a great time to bring the ambassadors together as well as our mentors. And we provide workshops and guidance on bringing or adopting Vroom and integrating Vroom into your child care resource and referral agencies. So we've received very positive feedback about past convenings. So this is something that ambassadors could look forward to as well. And then our Vroom Mentor program. So Vroom mentors, as I mentioned earlier, are ambassadors that either participated in the first cohort of the Vroom partnership or this current cohort. So we will have Vroom mentors supporting the newly selected third cohort of ambassadors. And they'll be able to help with, outreach efforts whether it's providing, guidance or feedback when it comes to outreach with families, outreach with providers. And we have heard very positive feedback about the Vroom Mentor program with our current cohort of ambassadors. It's helped support community partnerships that have developed, such as partnerships with maybe WIC or a doctor's office, Head Start programs, libraries, court systems, because our mentors, because they have already developed partnerships and relationships with trusted messengers in their communities, and they've figured out what has worked really well for them in their Vroom outreach. They have been able to share examples of that with our current ambassadors. And so our current ambassadors have been able to adopt some of those strategies and use some of those examples of partnerships in their own outreach. As well as Vroom mentors, it's very helpful. They can share resources that they're already aware of, or resources that maybe they have custom created on their own, and they've been able to share that with current ambassadors. And that will be the same, with our third cohort of ambassadors as well. They're very good about sharing what has worked for their outreach, as well as things that, maybe have they've had to think about and come up with, alternative ideas. And so that has been very helpful as well. And our mentors do participate in the shared online community, which is called Basecamp, as I mentioned earlier. So the mentors are on Basecamp, so that is helpful for them to be a part of the online community. And once again, Vroom mentors will attend the Vroom Ambassador convening, so it'll be nice to see them face to face.
Thank you, Candy. So we're going to wrap things up slowly here. We're going to talk about the benefits of the CCOA Vroom partnership. So the CCOA Vroom partnership, it enhances CCR&R family and community outreach, as we talked about, and it easily integrates into existing CCR&R services and outreach. It engages families and providers with empowering messages and easy-to-use brain-building tips based on everyday moments with children. And it also helps to build partnerships in local communities and share the brain science. And when you are thinking about this application and filling it out, we really encourage you to visit vroom.org and really explore all there is to offer on this website. There's a section for parents and professionals. You can download free resources. This will really help you as you think about how you can embed Vroom into your current outreach services. Also, download the Vroom app. You can explore the app, put in a child's birthday, you can make up a child's name, and just start getting daily Vroom tips and just seeing how parents and educators can really benefit from using the Vroom resources. So again, the app is available via smartphone, tablet, or also on the web browser. And again, there is a Vroom texting service too, and you can find out information about how to join the texting service on vroom.org. And then if you have an Echo Dot or a device that has Alexa, you can also add the Vroom skills there and learn more about it that way. So just to review, you will receive technical assistance on adopting and launching a Vroom initiative in your CCR&R. You will receive guidance and support from our Vroom mentors who are past Vroom ambassadors with CCAOA. You will have access to co-branded Vroom social media posts, access to our brain building resource guide for CCR&Rs, and this is based off of all of the lessons learned from our Cohort 1 and Cohort 2 ambassadors. You will have access to our virtual family engagement toolkits for educators, and you can use them in your outreach as well to families. and you are invited to attend our Vroom Ambassador convening. And again, that is in Arlington, Virginia, October 16th through 17th of this year. And you will also receive a $2,000 stipend. So we will review our timeline here. So all of the applications are due Friday, August 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All selected CCR&R applicant agencies will be notified no later than August 23rd, and our project begins September 1st, and our CCOA Vroom Ambassador convening is October 16th through 17th, and we will be having fun integrating Vroom until May 31st as an official partnership, but of course you will continue your outreach past May 31st. And we will also have webinars throughout to guide you in certain topic areas, and you will have your quarterly reports, which will be 3 quarterly reports, and it's not anything extensive. It is just an online report that you will fill out, and it will be the same each time. And here we have our contact information. Please feel free to write this information down. We have our phone numbers listed at the top. We have our shared email address, and we have a link to the application, but you can always email us and we can send you a direct link to the application and to view this webinar. So I'll just pause for a moment in case you would like to write down this information. And now we will open it up for questions in our chat box. We'll see if you have any questions. So one question we have is this only for agencies or can individuals apply to be an ambassador? Currently, this partnership is only for agencies to apply, so you would have to be a CCR&R agency or part of a CCR&R agency that is a member of Child Care Aware of America. And then once you apply as an agency, you select who your contact person will be. And we are checking to see if we have another question. Let's see. I am starting a child care network to offer support and resources to child care. Let's see. All right, we're not able to see the full question, but if you would email us at vroom@usa.childcareaware.org, we will be able to answer your question, or definitely give us a call, and our numbers are listed up here on the screen. We want to thank everyone for taking time to attend our webinar. We hope you are really excited about learning more about Vroom, learning more about the CCAOA Vroom partnership, and we really hope you all decide to apply to be a Vroom ambassador. We would love to have you all. Thank you.
Have a good day.